5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go.
Welcome back to Fantasy Football Unfiltered. You're with Trent Seibel and Joe Marshall. That is at TDRex43 and at PPR_Jesus. It is Friday morning. We got the Thursday night game in the bag.
Good morning, folks. It is about 4:30 a.m. Central Standard Time. Don't even have a cup of coffee in me yet. And I'm crabby because my fantasy players did not perform well last night.
So both of us are pretty heavy Mike Evans owners across our leagues. And he is now at 2 weeks of not really looking super great. He was a little bit sick last week, kind of rolled into this week. I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, he looks sluggish. He and Jameis look just off. There's always been like this underlying hint of, I'm going to be careful what I say here because this is just completely unfair of me to say, but whenever I've watched Mike Evans, even at his very best, I've always thought like, I'll use the word effortlessly. He's been able to perform and at a high level effortlessly. It also kind of reads like almost a little lazy when I watch him. Again, he has long strides, so it doesn't look like he's moving really hard or trying hard to move. But when I watch him, something looks a little bit off. Now, even if going back into preseason, he hasn't had like a full clean bill of health for 4 to 6 weeks. He had some nagging injuries that, then turned into some like locker room type of sickness.
Probably got that mono from Sam Darnold.
Yeah, I bet he was making out with Sam Darnold. That's
sense.
Probably what happened.
Tampa Bay still pulled off the win against Carolina on a nice fourth down stand. So they got the win 20-14. Cam had one of his little trick plays where he kind of slid up on the line, and then they direct snapped it over to Christian McCaffrey. He tried to get the edge, didn't get it. So they didn't get their fourth down, game over. But, Tampa Bay, I think the key here was that you didn't see any turnovers on the Tampa Bay side from Jameis Winston. He had 4 last week. So especially 3 interceptions, that just kills you. It kills all your receiver production. You didn't see that last night, so you saw more productive receivers. Mike Evans, still not super great, though. 4 for 61. He had 8 targets.
Yeah, the efficiency numbers, 50% catch rate. I mean, that's not great.
No, but Chris Godwin looks good.
He does. Godwin probably measures in at 6'6'1". He's another one of those guys. When you watch him play, though, he just looks much bigger than that. When I watch him play, he looks like a receiver that's 6'3", 6'4". Granted, Dante Jackson was on him all night. I don't have it in front of me. He's 5'8", 5'9". So he was exposed, and I think the Bucs and Jameis did a great job of exposing Dante Jackson, the cornerback for Carolina. Good player, but he's slight. And Godwin, even though he's 6'1"-ish, he plays really long and fast. I mean, he ran a 4.3 40 in the combine.
Yeah, Godwin definitely had a mismatch, and he definitely took advantage of it. So Godwin ended the night with 26 fantasy points in the PPR standings. That's
high five.
High five right there.
I was behind on Godwin. I could admit people were treating him as, like a high-end number 2 early this spring and summer, and I just wasn't buying it, and I was fucking wrong. And great, here we are. Now I have Mike Evans scoring single-digit goddamn points week 1 and 2. I think he had 10, but you know where I'm going. So
8 for 121 and a touchdown. I mean,
on 9 targets, so 8 on. I love those efficiency numbers. But when you have, an 8th grade sized kid defending you,
watching it,
I listen. I still like Mike Evans. I think the chemistry will grow with him and Jameis. Fantasy footballers, take this opportunity, look at your roster after this week, see what you could offer Evans. I still like him. I like him as a buy low.
Yeah, Evans owners are going to be a little worried right now. I don't think they're going to ship him off for nothing. If you have Chris Godwin right now, are you going to offer him for Evans right now?
See, I would, but I also just openly admitted that I was behind on Godwin, but I absolutely would. If somebody would bite on that trade, I would take it. I would take Evans for Godwin.
Another guy you can get for cheap if he's out there is Peyton Barber. He looked pretty good too. He had 82 yards and a touchdown. Not bad for somebody that you paid nothing for. But you know who looked really, really bad?
Ronnie Jones, baby.
Man. So there was a little bit of hype on him that he wasn't terrible last week, and then he comes in this week and he could not do anything.
I got like both Bleacher Report notifications and Roto World notifications over the last 2 days that expect more usage out of Ronald Jones. Both reports basically read that Peyton Barber was the starter in name only. I mean, that's what they were trying to get at. And then Ronald Jones comes in and he had 4 carries for 8 yards, same as Jameis, and that's counting Jameis's sacks against him.
Yeah, so I'm doing air quotes when I say the fantasy experts. We're all saying, hey, Ronald Jones is the guy. You got to start him. Must start. If he's out there, you got to pick him up. And Ronald Jones is garbage.
Ronald Jones is wet garbage. And here we are. There's a little bitch session I have, and I'll be quick. ESPN leagues versus Yahoo leagues. I do a mix of both. Now, I have Ronald Jones in an ESPN league. Obviously, he's buried on my goddamn bench. The team played, so my stupid roster is locked, and now I can't do anything with him. I can't drop him and do anything. So if you have him in a Yahoo league and he's buried on your bench, which he should be, you could go ahead and drop him now and then pick up somebody that plays at noon on Sunday. I like that. I use that as strategy. I think it rewards the fantasy football folk who actually watch the games and pay attention in real time. But I picked him up in freaking ESPN, and now he's just a dead weight on the bottom of my lineup.
So let's flip it over to the other side. Let's talk about the Panthers. The Panthers have looked really, really bad so far. In general, they're 0-2 now. The biggest thing, the captain of the ship, Cam Newton, has not been good at all.
No.
They say he's perfectly healthy. They don't say he's banged up, but we're 2 games in, and he's got -5 rushing yards on the season.
He looks trim. He looks like, for him, he looks like thin almost.
Yeah, and the biggest thing is you're seeing that he's not getting these plays that a year ago, 2 years ago, he would have gotten. If it's 4th down, I get it. Christian McCaffrey is the guy. Like, he's good. Normally, Cam Newton's taking that play. If you got 1 yard, Cam Newton's taking that, right?
Yeah, I mean, of their old offense, yes, a little bit younger Cam, yes, but he's getting to the point where he probably doesn't want to take his licks anymore. He has not been the same since the Broncos pummeled the Panthers in the Super Bowl. That was the year Cam, he accounted for like 50 touchdowns. He won the NFL MVP. I mean, the ascension of Cam Newton was real right then. And, I mean, he just has plummeted as far as value and production, and I don't think it will ever rise back to that level. He's a guy I stay away from in all formats. He was 25 out of 51, so looking at that, 51 attempts, I wonder if that's a career high for Cam. We don't have the numbers in front of us, but I guess if you're going to walk away and try to take a positive, Curtis Samuel, 13 targets. I mean, shrugging my shoulders. Okay, I'll take that. He had 5 for 91. He looked pretty good, but 5 catches on 13 targets, wet hot garbage.
Not so great.
I'm sorry, Trent. DJ Moore, though, 14 targets. So maybe they're just trying to redefine themselves a little bit as an offense and get away from Christian McCaffrey left, Christian McCaffrey right, Christian McCaffrey over the middle. They're going to kill that young man.
Well, they started the game. Their first 7 plays, he touched the ball 5 times.
Yeah, and he only ended up with 18 touches total. So
it was raining pretty hard at that time, though. It was before.
Was it raining men or?
It was raining everything.
Okay.
It was coming down. They actually evacuated the stadium, the stands, and all that. So, one thing that I did see that I really didn't like is that football is really, really terrible during rain delays. They talk about they digging deep. I think there was like a 4-minute segment on the difference between screw-ins and nubs on the cleats. They're like literally like, hey, what's the difference between screw-ins and nubs? And then old boy's like,
boy.
He's like, one of them screws in, and the other one, the nubs. It's like, okay.
I flicked it over to some Netflix for a few minutes while the delay was happening.
It was bad. It was bad.
I was trying to Netflix and chill with Erin, but she had no chill.
Yeah. She's like negative. Overall, the wide receivers on the Carolina side of the ball, they ended up with pretty good stats at the end. DJ Moore, probably one of his better games with 9 catches, 89 yards. Curtis Samuel, you already said, 4 and 82. McCaffrey was really bad. He had 16 attempts. He only had 36 yards, only 2 catches, which is odd for him as well.
Man,
for 16
his
yards.
heavy usage last week on a Sunday, turning around, playing on Thursday. I mean,
Yeah.
obviously the Bucs had a good game plan for him. Let's tip our hats to them, but I hate these fucking Thursday games. They're the worst.
Yeah, somebody asked me yesterday, when are we going to have a good Thursday? And a good Thursday game, and I was like, well, if they change the name of Sunday and start calling it Thursday, then you get some good Thursday games. But that's about it. So Sam Darnold is not playing on Monday. We alluded to it earlier. He's got the mono. Gave it to Mike Evans. And instead, it's going to be Seaman. Trevor Seaman is going to be starting that game for the Jets.
I wonder if Seaman has anything to do with Sam Darnold's mono. That's lowbrow. That's way too lowbrow. Maybe we'll edit that out. Maybe it's 4 a.m. and I don't give a fuck.
I think we're like detectives over here. We're on to something. Le'Veon Bell had an MRI on his shoulder. Yeah, you got to be a little nervous, right?
How many people did I text this last week and I'm like, freaking told you so. Le'Veon's Le'Veon. Doesn't matter. He's going to get the volume. Blah, blah, blah. Pert plus, more volume.
Yeah, and then he fucking dies. But, I mean, it looks like everything's all right. He got his MRI, no major damage. Should be starting on Monday. Your worry level's probably pretty low right now, right?
No, my worried level is moderate.
Moderate?
Yes.
So it's like yellow?
I have him in Dynasty, so, his stock can drop pretty quick. If he were to get a major injury, like something that required surgery, he's 27. He comes with some baggage already and some injury history from a few years ago. So, yes, I'm at, like, yellow. I'm at, like, terror level yellow.
You've got some more Antonio Brown saga stuff going on, and it's just a new thing every week with him. You got to be scared in general. Right now, there's this rape charge or sexual assault charge. I don't know what they're calling it. They've called it 3 different things in 3 different articles in 3 different days. But he's got something going on where he did some stuff with a young lady that he supposedly, it's all alleged. A lot of people saying maybe it's a money grab.
It's always alleged. It's even if they have it on camera, somebody cutting somebody's head off. Alleged.
So there's a lot of talk that it's a money grab. It's not like a real case. They're not investigating him for criminal charges right now.
Hold on. We're not going to turn this into some sort of marginalizing of women saying they were sexually assaulted. Let's pump the brakes and let's not use phrases like it's not a real case. It's a real case. I read the docket. It's real. That's very, very real.
Well, it's a civil case.
Yes.
We'll say that.
Yeah, also very real.
So from a fantasy football standpoint, how worried are you that he goes on the commissioner's exempt list for this?
Let me be as clear as possible here. This worries me no more than what he's going to do in 3 weeks. It doesn't matter. I don't think the exempt list is worth a huge part of the conversation in terms of like where you should be afraid of him or not. He's a fucking idiot. He has some real issues going on, just like that is a real sexual assault case. And he's going to do something fucking stupid again. So, yes.
And he can't go 2 weeks without getting in trouble.
No,
that's what it looks like.
No, and then just wait, Trent. Oh, my God, this is going to be... I can't wait to watch the implosion as long as no one else is hurt. But when he's on the Patriots team and they try to, instill their Patriots way in him and humble him a little bit, and, let's wait for that first game. He gets 3 catches for 19 yards, and then he watches... Josh Gordon get 180, James White have 14 catches for 86 yards. He's going to lose his fucking mind, win or lose.
So how's Belichick going to react when Antonio Brown starts publishing text messages? Well, Belichick probably doesn't send text messages, but when he starts putting out there like conversations that they had and stuff like that.
Yeah. He'll deadpan stare at the reporter.
Like Antonio Brown.
I've already addressed that in-house.
Antonio Brown's going to go missing mafia style. I mean, that wouldn't be so bad. Here's my question, last question about him. Is there a chance at all that this is what Antonio Brown wanted? I mean, if he goes on the exempt list, he still gets paid, right? And he doesn't have to actually play football.
You're very good at what you do. The way you phrased that, the way you just bracketed that question is great. Is there a chance? Fuck yes. Fuck yes, there's a chance that this is what he wanted. I mean, is there a chance that, like, he wanted to end up on the Patriots and the whole Raiders thing was, like, calculated? I can't rule that out either because he seems just nuts. And then kind of circling back to the charges against him right now, the civil case against him. Like, if you read the text messages between he and the accuser,
Those are hieroglyphics.
I mean, what in the fucking world? I mean, he has what of a college education? I just am so confused. I want him gone. I'm tired of nonsense dominating the storylines. You know, we're in the season. Week 2 is already upon us. Like, I'm just tired of this fucking Kardashian soap opera nonsense. Pieces of shit like Antonio Brown just drag the NFL down.
So let's go ahead and jump into our ramen rosters. This is our eating on a budget segment.
Today, I'm going to share with you my secrets for eating on a budget.
So Nick will be joining us. Just for you guys that are listeners of ours, we will be recording from Hot Shots on Monday. It will not be Tuesday this go round. We're going to talk about ramen rosters, and Nick will be with us on Monday. So we got his ramen roster as well. So I'll go ahead and talk quarterbacks. I've got Carr going again. I had him last week. Joe, who do you got this week for your ramen roster?
I'm rolling with Matt Stafford at home against the Chargers. Chargers have good D, but I think the Lions will have to score points to keep up. And that's very insightful. The team will have to score points to keep up with the other team, but I think you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, I mean, that's always important because when it comes to your wide receivers and quarterback and they're trailing, they basically have to abandon the run game, so that's going to inflate their numbers.
And they also don't have a run game.
It's not terrible. Who you got for your wide receivers?
Okay, I'm going to read them all off. I'm going to go Kenny Stills, Houston saying they're going to try to find ways to get him the ball more often. I'm going DK Metcalf, looked like the number 1. You discussed that last week. And then I'm going to go with McLaurin, the Redskins' potential number 1 rookie receiver out of the Ohio State University, going against Dallas.
So give the fans a little bit about McLaurin if you can, because he's not a really super well-known guy.
No, Terry McLaurin, he didn't come, with the name power that like Hollywood Brown or A.J. Brown did. Went to Ohio State, obviously was like a 5-star recruit there with Ohio State, and what they do offensively, you kind of get hidden away a little bit as a receiver. Like his stats weren't going to blow you away, but he plays at about 6'6'1", 205, 210.
A fast dude also.
Fast dude, combine 4.35 40, baby.
Gotta like it.
The Spark scores, the guys who are into that type of metrics, they were on him. I was not. I could sit here and admit, but when you watch him, he looks like he can play.
So my wide receivers this week, I've got Pettis, DK Metcalf, and A.J. Brown. So
Pettis only 2 snaps last week. Bold move with Pettis.
There's a lot of talk that he's still the number 1 there behind Kittle, obviously. But Kittle's a tight end. But he's the number 1, air quote, wide receiver, right?
It's a weird way to use your number 1.
It is. So I'm hoping to see a little bit more volume out of him. A.J. Brown, he's a guy that you and I both liked. He had
I like him in his jersey. I like a man in uniform.
He used to they used him pretty good last week. We're hoping to see a little bit more of that. And DK Metcalf, he was the legit number 1 in Seattle last week. He looked a lot better than we thought.
Yeah, I had low hopes for him just because he looks like a stone figure when he moves. But, okay, reading Nick's off real quick. Clean sweep with DK Metcalf. He had McLaurin also. He's going to go with Mecole Hardman from Kansas City, in theory, taking over that role that Tyreek would play. So that's an interesting one. That's a really nice flyer, actually. If you're in a Yahoo league and you could drop piece of shit Ronald Jones and you could pick up somebody like Hardman who's has heavy ownership now, make that type of move. Those are the moves I like to make. If you're in an ESPN league, just cry and hold Ronald Jones. Trent, I'm going to go ahead with my running backs here, buddy. I'm going to go with a couple PPR guys. I'm going to go Chris Thompson. I think this is a sneaky little play if you have an injured back or maybe if you went 0 running back strategy. And then I'm going to go Geo. It's unknown at this point Friday morning if Mixon's going, but either way, I think he's going to get some play. And then it looks like Horvat, Nick, went with Carlos Hyde. He had nice usage last week in Houston.
Yeah, so Nick also had Chris Thompson. I had Chris Thompson. So it's pretty unanimous. You've got Carlos Hyde, obviously, like you said, good usage last week. Should have good usage this week. But with Darius Guice, he's had that knee surgery.
He go.
Yeah, he's going to be out for a while. It's the opposite knee that he hurt last year, so he's got 2 unhealthy knees. He's going to be out for a while. It's going to be a mixture of Adrian Peterson and Chris Thompson, and as long as Thompson can stay healthy, he's always worth some good, fantasy PPR
He had
points.
6 or 7 catches last week.
Yeah, and that's only going to go up. Clean sweep on the running backs. Who you got for tight end?
I'm rolling with Noah Fant, the other Iowa tight end, playing for Denver. Against Chicago, tough matchup, but he was on the field like 90% of the offensive snaps.
Risky maneuver, but
He looked decent.
yeah, he could have a high ceiling.
He's definitely no Hawkinson, but he looked okay.
Man, how good did Hawkinson look?
As advertised, man. People in Detroit were doing backflips over him, and my God, he looks good.
So he was a ramen candidate last week. He is not anymore.
No.
26 points.
People are going to be trading Mike Evans for him.
Yeah. Tight end over here, Vernon Davis. I was surprised to see him come out of nowhere last week, and that offense is definitely, they're missing Jordan Reed.
Isn't Reed going to be back or no?
50-50.
50-50.
He's still, in concussion protocol, so yeah, if he's not going, man.
So Jordan Reed wakes up on a random April morning in concussion protocol.
Yeah, if he's not injured right now, he's going to be re-injured with something else by Sunday, and it's Friday.
Isn't it terrible? This is a not safe for work podcast, and I make a joke like that, and then I fear backlash from anybody like, you can't make fun of that. You can't make fun of head injury. Yes, I can, and I will.
So Nick comes out of nowhere with his Blake Jarwin.
Blake Jarwin.
For tight end. So
what a name.
If you haven't seen Blake Jarwin, look him up. He's a less than 50% owned Ramen Roster plug-in possibility for you. Joe, tell me a little bit about Blake Jarwin.
Cool name? Cool guy name?
Cool guy.
Probably a bully, I assume, in high school. He's probably a big kid. But Blake Jarwin in 3rd grade was bigger than my dad. I could just picture it. He tight end for the Cowboys.
Yeah.
He actually has a little bit of a knack for the end zone. So
yeah, he's a touchdown guy.
He is. So
that's how a lot of these tight ends are. And if you're a Ramen Roster and you're trying to just grab someone less than 50% owned and plug them in there,
yeah,
that's what you want. You saw it last week with a couple of these guys. They're Greg Olsen yesterday. Oh my God.
Well, yeah, he had a time machine. 6 for 110, is that right?
Yeah. So these guys, they get older. They don't have to be the best. They just go out there. They're big guys. They put their arms up. They catch some balls. But, man, Greg Olsen was moving.
I'm flexing Justin Jackson. I'm looking for guys that are going to get some targets, some carries. I can imagine he'll get 15 touches. Horvat Nick is flexing Sexy Flexy with Danny Amendola.
Surprise one.
Yeah,
that's not bad.
Not bad at all.
So I won Miko in the absence of Tyreek. Obviously, if you've got Sammy Watkins, if you got room for him on your starting roster, you want to dial him up, you should be seeing a lot of the same stuff.
He's going to score on a trick play this week, Miko. He's going to run like a little jet sweep or something.
Man, you're going to be like Nostradamus when that shit happens.
Yeah.
But Miko should be getting some good, steady targets this week. Obviously, we're hoping for good things from him. Let's wrap this up with the defense. You and I both had Carolina.
Decent last night.
They turned out all right, so hopefully if you guys need a defense, you grabbed them. 9 points in your basic scoring. But, Nick went with Tennessee as his plug-and-play.
At home, division game against the Colts, I think that's a pretty sound play as well.
So it's the Colts without Andrew Luck, which, Jacoby wasn't super great last week.
He wasn't terrible. Again, that was a road game across the country. They're traveling again. I could see Indy being a little fatigued from the travel, and I think this is a really nice plug-and-play D.
Yep, I think it'll be good. So that's going to wrap it up for our Friday morning podcast. Good luck on your Sunday games. And until next week, peace.
Here you go.